Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another TEPc Spotlight. This week, or this episode, if you will, we are spotlighting the HotUtils version 2 that we talked to you about last week on the Escape Podcast. Now, I'm going to introduce everybody. You guys do remember Hot Sauce from the show. Say hello, Hot Sauce.
Hi, everyone.
All right. Then we have Tipster. Tipster, say hello.
Hey, what's up?
All right. And so, Tipster, let's really quick just introduce everybody. Tipster, what do you do for HotUtils version 2?
I'm just the token. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to. You can cut that out. No, early on in the inception, I did some of the design work, some of the styles as well, component work, front end work, mostly styles.
All right. Then we have Zverv joining us late at night for him. Hello, Zverv.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, Zverv, what do you do for HotUtils?
I work together with my colleague Prim with the first line support. We help people get connected and with troubleshooting of the HotUtils app. I also did the tutorial video for the version 2 site.
Excellent, excellent. Then we have Two Step sitting there with all his Lego minifigs. Hello, Two Step.
Hello.
All right, and what's your position with HotUtils?
So I'm one of our front-end web developers. I work mostly on the mod management section, as well as a bunch of the login and sort of basic stuff like that, and some new and exciting features that I'm working on now.
All right, awesome. We'll definitely get into that in just a moment. Next up, we have Shades. Hello, Shades.
Hello.
So, what are you doing over at HotUtils?
Been a long time member of support there, and just contributing to the community.
All right, and then finally, Neil wants me to call him Lobot, but we are going to refer to him by name. Hello, Strange. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. What are you doing with HotUtils?
I'm a web developer too, and I've worked on loadouts, the playground section, some of the TB stuff, a couple other of the sections too.
Neil, I heard TB.
Yes. Don't say those two letters. If you put those two letters together during this interview, you will not be able to get him off territory battles. Don't start him on territory battles, please. He it's like TB to him is like GAC is to me. Once we start, we can't shut up about it.
All right, Neil, you've been itching to ask some questions of these guys.
Yes, I have. First things first, I would like to know, how did you guys all come together for version 2? Because we know we spoke with, last week we spoke with Hot Sauce and we spoke with Grand Ivory, and we got the basic hitherto info regarding how version 1 was put together, but I'd really like to know how you guys all got together and put together this wonderful version 2 that everybody's using now, and it's being touted as like one of the greatest utilities ever to come to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
So I can start. So I guess we'll start with version 1 was out there, and it was getting a lot of activity, bringing a lot of people in. A lot of my support crew are people who, came to this server, were active in the community, helped starting answer people's questions and whatnot, and essentially self-promoted themselves to the point of, me connecting with them, getting them more officially involved, those kind of things. So right from the start, I've always had great help. I had some great help from the Republic. It's an alliance. There's some people in there that were, high-end Discord admins and involved in a lot of the community aspects. They helped get my server going and whatnot. So that was kind of from the support side. And then as V1 was running, I probably get these 2 or 3 times a week now, honestly. Web developers out there who happen to be playing the game, they seen how awful my V1 code was on the website and whatnot. Hey, Hot Sauce, can we come give you a hand? That's essentially, how each one of them, I think everyone on this call really reached out to me and wanted to contribute. And it wasn't really until I started into the framework of V2 and the idea of V2 where I really was able to bring people in. So it's definitely more of a, it's not an open source system, but it's a system that, you know, we can share amongst multiple people to all be working on the project now.
Well, let's go. I was about to say. Well, then let's go around the. So we'll start with you, Tipster. Tipster, what was it that kind of urged you to reach out to Hot Sauce and say, hey, you know, I see what you're doing. I'd like to be part of it. This is what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I actually started out with one of the Republic's tools now. I think they own it now, but I took over the HSTR bot that was inside of. Yeah, so yeah, I ran that for a little bit. I got it from the noob. It was a guy named the noob. I took over that, and I was on the Discord server with a bunch of guys who were authors for that, who helped come up with teams. I know like Helenix was in there, and Skelterix. There's a bunch of like, I guess, really cool streamers that put out content. I think it was Kiara Kismet, or I think that was the name that was inside of there that introduced me to, well, sorta. He kind of pushed me to Hot Sauce, maybe needing help with V2. So I reached out to him, and of course, Hot Sauce ignored me the first time. He didn't respond. So I was like, oh, maybe he's got it under wraps. But then I think at some point inside of the Discord server, he mentioned that he was looking for people to come in and help with V2. So I quickly jumped on that, and he's been cool the whole way. So, you know, anytime I could help out with questions for people, I think I've interviewed a lot of people with V2 beforehand, prototyping. And yeah, that's really it. It's kind of been here on the side, but if help was needed, I could jump in and do something really quick.
Excellent. Over to you, Zverv.
Yeah, Zverv had been, you've been doing kind of onboarding since V1, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been with the program, so to say, for almost 2.5 years now. I started supporting Hot Sauce then, and I've been working the first line support for, I think, about a year together with Prim. We started up a ticket system then, and started, and as I got into it, as Hot Sauce says, that started asking people's questions, answering people's questions on the Discord server, and generally being helpful.
Over to you, Two Step. How did you get involved?
Well, so as Hot Sauce says, I think I was one of those people pretty early on who recognized, and as a programmer myself, I can tell when there's some programmer UI. And you know, Hot Sauce did what he had to do to get something up and running, and he didn't care as much about, you know, I mean, he didn't want to look terrible, but he didn't like put in a whole lot of effort to make it look pretty. He didn't really have the tools to make it work good on mobile phones or on smaller screens, things like that. And so I sort of saw what he had, and I said, this is really cool. And you know, I also was really interested in sort of the social sharing stuff. So one of the big things that I think is important in the V2 site is the ability to have these public filters for mods, because there's people who spend, I assume, hours tweaking these filters to say, okay, I want it, if it has, you know, 8 speed and it's blue, it's okay, but 9 speed and green, you know, all sort of stuff. And so people, you know, someone asked me if there was a limit to the number of filters that they can put together, and I said no, and then they showed me a screenshot of what they had, and it was like 100 different little filters put together. And so one of the things I think is really cool about the new site is that you can have those people who go and obsess over that stuff. They can click a little checkbox, and then I can say, hey, I don't want to spend hours building that stuff, and I can just grab their filter and use it. And so partly it was sort of a laziness factor on my own. I don't want to spend time building all those filters, but now I've got a whole bunch of those public filters, and I go into my web, you know, my version of the HotUtils site, and I can easily go through my mods, and it's really nice. So it sort of saved me some time by spending many hours of web development. But that's sort of, you know, where I started from this stuff.
And see, it wasn't laziness. It was identification of a need. The need being
it was
people
laziness
not wanting to do
I didn't
a million and
wanna
one filters.
do filters, but I was happy to spend hours and hours on, you know, programming. So, you know, that's the way it is, I guess.
Excellent.
It's a trade-off.
Yes.
Strange or Shades, over to you on this one.
I found it right after my guild finished Heroic Sith, and everybody remembers the days of moving 100 mods and when you're first clearing it, and literally month after we had got past that, I found HotUtils and signed up for it immediately. And quickly after that, reached out and offered to help on the server and came on as a mod and support very early on in V1. That's kind of how I got into it. Still can't imagine how much time I would have saved if I would have found it 3 months earlier.
That's true of everyone who's come to the utility. Like, if only I had this 3 months or 6 months or a year earlier than I ran across it. Yeah.
And last but not least, Strange. Tell us how you got involved.
Sure. I think I first heard about HotUtils. It was back when the first Galactic Legends came out, SLKR and Ray. And I hadn't made up my mind which one I wanted to go for. And I was trying to procrastinate as long as I could. But I still wanted to farm the right gear. So I found this site, Swuggo Events, which, I'm sure you guys have used. You can put in the Galactic Legend you want to go to, and it gives you the gear that you need for it. And then I saw this small button on the bottom that said, hey, if you use HotUtils, it'll import the gear you have. I thought, man, that's awesome. Like what is HotUtils? And I went to his website, and it was just the screen of Grievous, and it, didn't have much more information. I felt like I was learning about the Freemason Society or something like that. I was like, what is HotUtils? I'm looking at YouTube. I'm trying to find out what it was, and I went on their Discord, and everybody was really nice and answering questions, and I really liked the tools, and I was developing my own site that kind of allowed you to pick and choose mods, configurations. And I had reached out to him and said, hey, could you help make an API for me? And, we got to talking, and eventually, I just said, I have no interest in running a server myself. So I'd love to, build it into your site. And that's what we did.
Excellent. We've got everyone's backstories now.
Exactly. So, Hot Sauce, we're over to you on this one. When did V2? When did you decide to pull the one arm jack? When did you decide to go? Yeah, this sounds like a good idea. Let's do this. Was it them bringing it to you, or was it you going to them?
I think it's some of both. I think as software developers, we tend to, again, you build something not expecting it to become what it does. And then as it's growing in your mind, how you can do it a lot better a lot of the time. So those type of V1, V2, V3 are just part of the process, right? And so when V1 was working well, but it wasn't as scalable, it wasn't as pretty and whatnot, V2 is going to be it. Now, that being said, I hope kind of this podcast helps give everyone an appreciation of what it takes to do this. When it was just me sitting there punching away code and had to deal with, 3 or 4 guilds using my stuff, I could produce code and produce functionality super quick. But as people want that functionality, you get all the people coming to sign up, you get all the support, everything else comes along with it. And man, without this entire crew here, V2 wouldn't even exist right now. I got lucky. Couple of these guys, a few of them amazing developers that they were the right kind of people and the right people for the job. I got really lucky, and they've done an amazing job. I think anyone who's used the V2 site now can see the level of professionalism that went into it all. And it's all complex stuff too. It's not easy stuff to build. So that's kind of the V2, I guess, story.
Well, let's talk a little bit of history here with the person that has been with you, I believe, the longest, and that would be Zverv. When everything started, the support that you give must have been pretty easy. Compare that to the ramp up ever since, the recent videos, especially the Arnold video that I know put you guys on a 2-day backlog.
Yeah, that was, to say the least, pretty hectic. We, as you say, we had, I think that Hot Sauce had at one time 200 unanswered direct messages. He also had like, 2-day backlog, 500. Oh, I never heard that one. We had constantly, about every hour, we had 200 new members to the server. So we had pretty much to do. And when it goes to that scale, the simple questions as what button do I click becomes hectic to keep up with. So we started adding, and people are losing their Discord virginity coming into this because they haven't used Discord before, but they want to use this tool, so they need Discord now. And handling that as well is, it's really fun to do it. That's why I keep doing it. But it gets hard when it's really that big. But things have settled now, so now we're pretty much back to normal. We got a few questions each day, and even though it has scaled up, it's easy to handle. I think there's 4 of us now. It's me. We have a guy called Sam and Prim, and then Shades. He helps a lot with the answers as well. And all of the version 2 developers will answer what they can and help out as well. So we do our best to make sure that Hot Sauce can do what he does best. But to be honest, it's really hard to keep him. Yeah, and it's really hard to keep him from answering the questions as well. Sometimes we'll have to put a leash on him and tell him, hey, do what you do good best and we'll handle these guys.
I think one of the things that's maybe not appreciated by the people who are using the tool is just how many different moving parts there are, right? So there's Discord, there's Patreon, there's Google, there's Facebook, there's CG's servers, there's Hot Sauce's servers, and so there's just a lot of different pieces that all have to work together. Especially, for the connection stuff is not easy to get all that right. And Hot Sauce has done a great job at that. But definitely, we get a lot of people asking a lot of questions about, how do I connect Discord to Patreon? How do I know what's happening here? And I think that's one of the things that we wish we had a better system to start with on this. And if we had known, hey, there are going to be 1,000 new people who are signing up or whatever, however many people there were, maybe we would have thought about it a little better. But that definitely was a little surprising at just how big it's gotten over the past couple of weeks.
Yes, Zverv mentioned Shades there, who also does the support. How many questions and inquiries are you responding to on a daily basis since HotUtils version 2 has effectively blown up as a result of more publicity on YouTube?
Well, I can speak for my numbers, and then we can talk back from there. Again, I think day 1 and day 2 after the on video, I literally had 500 unread DMs. And if any of you ever use Discord, trying to manage that list of DMs is next to impossible. It's just not a tool. So then we had all sorts of queue issues. So I had people that I was finally messaging back probably 9 or 10 hours late. And that was all with my support guys being swamped and holding back the wave too. So that's kind of the level of depth it was. Now we jump to today, it's like there has been a bit of a downward curve. It's still pretty busy for me though. I'd say I've probably dealt with about 100 DMs today. Like that's direct messages, and that's before, again, that's with support heading a lot of stuff off before it's getting to me too. So things are pretty busy. The last 2 weeks with, the video and podcast and whatnot, it was essentially the 2 years that I had built up to that point, about a 30 to 40% increase in overall users in a 2-week period. So it's a pretty significant growth spurt, to say the least.
And the way it grows is sort of funny because it's not just like, oh, people watch one video or read one thread on Reddit or whatever. It's those people watch the video and then they tell all their friends and guildmates, and sometimes you get a bigger boost from that, right? One person tells 5 people who tell 5 more people, and et cetera. And so it sort of snowballs from there too.
Yeah.
Shades, what is the most common, other than how do I make this work? What is the most common question you're getting?
That's a tough one.
Okay, how about I ask, what's the most fun question that you've gotten?
It really varies. Like Zverv said, the user base is very different. There's people good with computers and there's people not. It's probably with V2 the most common question I'd say we get 5 times a day is my filters are selected and nothing shows up.
And what do you just kind of like take their hand and walk them through it so that they never have to come to you with that question again?
Ideally, yeah, we generally do screenshots. Discord screencasting has been helpful a number of times. I know I've casted with them before, and they can demonstrate what problem they have, and we'll work through it.
Well, we also sometimes have had to fix. We have this public mod filter thing, and one of the things that happened when all these people watched the Arnold video, Arnold had published a public mod filter, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's the one I'll pick because I came here because I'm a big Arnold fan." And so they picked it, but his filter was broken, and so everyone who picked it is like, "His filter isn't working. This website sucks." And you're like, "Oh no, it's just Arnold doesn't know how to write a filter, man. Come on."
So it's is it who's working on the filters again? Is that you, Tipster?
Me.
Oh, I'll say I'm working.
Oh, it is you, Two Step. So
yeah.
What's the most common filter that you're seeing though?
I mean, so everyone wants just tell me how to filter my good mods, and I think that the problem is that it's very dependent on sort of almost where you are in the game, right? So I've been playing since launch, right? So my idea of like a good speed mod is like 20 speed is like, I'm not going to say no to a 20 speed mod, but like that's not really going to like change my life, right? Like I'm looking for 25 plus speed mods, right? So like for someone like me, that's different. Whereas if you're a new guy and you get like a plus 15 speed mod, you're like, oh my god, this is wonderful. Now I can beat all the other Phoenix teams in Arena, right? So I think it's really interesting how people value different stuff, and I think we've also seen with modding, like it's sort of gone through these like phases of what's popular, right? So maybe someone will start pushing, hey, defense mods are great, and then everyone's like, oh, I got to farm up defense mods. And then someone says, oh, crit avoidance arrows are the best thing. If you don't have crit avoidance arrows on all your tanks, you're just modding completely wrong. And so there's sort of these fads in modding that come and go. And so sort of capturing all that is sort of, it's tough. And so answering the question, is this a good mod or is this a bad mod, is really not a question that necessarily is the same for everyone. And so I think that's what's tough about it. I think the other thing that can be tough with the users is that we have a lot of people who are newbies, but we also have people who want really complicated things. Like I get these requests for people like, I want to do the Boolean logic of this and this or that, and and build these really complicated mods, and we have to really carefully balance sort of what we do with ease of use and making it so that someone who's not as skilled can understand the user interface, as well as people being able to have the power they need. So that's sort of a delicate balance. We had to say no to people who want, hey, give me a really complicated way to write my mod filter. We're like, no, we don't think we're going to do that.
So, and while we have you, Two Step, while we're focusing on questions to you here, tell me about this. You've got, according to the information you gave me, upcoming stuff.
Yep.
Territory wars.
Yeah. So I mean, so we have some stuff that's still only on the V1 site, which we want to retire as soon as we can. And so one of the biggest remaining features there is Territory Wars. And that's actually a really tricky one for me to work on because, I'm in a guild with a bunch of people that are great. And, I want to say hi to all the people from Something Lawful. They're great fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You and I know each other more than I thought. Go ahead. Anyway.
Okay.
Heck, Chewy That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
Okay. And so we are not a super serious guild. Like we have people who are 1.5 million GP, and then me at 7.7 million GP, right? And so, but the territory war stuff, there's a lot of the really competitive guilds really carefully manage their territory wars, where they, people have to request, I want to attack this with this team, and some officer sits there and runs the numbers and says yes or no. And I know Hot Sauce has to live through this with his guilds or something, so I feel sorry for him because it seems terrible to me. But if you're that competitive, cool. And so that's a tricky one because modding, like everyone who plays the game has to deal with mods. So I understand how they work, but Territory Wars, it's sort of been a learning experience because I have to figure out, okay, what do people want? And we're working on it. We actually have a development site up where we have some people that can see it. I haven't actually advertised to people, but the Territory Wars stuff is up on there, and so people can start playing with it. They can sort of see the map and see which teams have been defeated and which ones are still there. And we're going to work on sort of refinements from there. And the other major thing we're working on is right now you can set up these scheduled events that are completely done with the Discord bot. You can say at 2:00 in the afternoon, I want to run and check tickets and make sure everyone has got their tickets. Or I want to, our raids say, in my guild, we always launch raids at noon Eastern time. And so at, 11 o'clock, it'd be nice to run a check to say, hey, has everyone joined the raid? And if they haven't, send them a DM on Discord and tell them to join the raid. And so right now you have to do that completely on Discord with a bot. You have to tell it your time zones. HotUtils has all sorts of problems when daylight savings time comes around, and he has to wipe the events or not wipe the events, and should he move the events back an hour, forward an hour, and all this sort of fun stuff. And so we want to build a web UI for this.
Yeah, and not to mention daylight savings time is different in Australia and
no end of trouble there. And some things move, right? So like your tickets are always the same, right? So in daylight savings, if your tickets were, if your guild reset was at 4:30 in the afternoon, after daylight savings at 3:30 now, right? But maybe your raids stay the same, and so some things want to move and some things don't. So we have to figure out solutions for that. So we're starting.
Hot Sauce, I saw you unmute. What did you want to say?
Oh, that's it. And then so big features of the Territory Wars too that are coming. The bot right now can do what's called a TW analyze, and it tells you your banners lost in every zone, your potential banners remaining in every zone, and predicts the outcome of the war based on what's occurring in the zones and whatnot, like what's your max potential and everything. So part of that is bringing that to the website as well. Again, some people love the bot, and the V2 bot will still support most of this, but some of this is bringing it to a nice UI. So right now, a lot of it's officer based with the current V1 bot, where this will bring it kind of to all the guild members. If they're curious how the, war state or status is, they can go check it on HotUtils and things like that.
Please tell me that the command for that will be global thermal nuclear war. So, Tipster, you mentioned that you do templates. So, what's your favorite template that you've worked on so far?
Well, right now we're working on a bunch of dummy templates. So we have a bunch. I think the biggest one that I've been playing with is one that I don't know who made it. Who made the fives one?
I think it's the cam one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is cam. It is. I think it's. What is it called though? It's like 75 cam or something like that.
50 cam. Yeah.
50 shards of cam.
Yeah. So
that was Taliana's bit.
That's what I've been playing with, and creating your own templates, pulling in templates that we have as public templates, and being able to run those tests quickly on the UI and being able to see it in one screen as opposed to seeing it just through Discord.
Just to describe templates a bit more for those who aren't aware, is it's a system in the V1 bot where essentially, and people who are kind of get religious about it, they'll set up all their TW specs that they need every one of their members to meet. So this unit is this speed, and it's got to be faster than this unit, and apply the math by percentages to create your proper turn order in your squad and whatnot. You set up those templates, and then you can test a player against that template or test your guild against that template. So basically, if your guild's publishing, modding rules for the next upcoming territory war or territory battles, like to complete the cam mission at a higher percentage, you can use those templates to apply. Now, again, a bot's output of the results of those templates less than desirable. It's not bad against one person, but when you're trying to visually show anyone in your guild who might be failing certain stats and whatnot, that's where we need the web. So V2 is going to bring that all to the web UI as well.
So what I'm because I'm not myself a territory battles officer or a territory war officer, what you're offering to territory battle officers and territory war officers seems like something extremely useful and valuable to guilds that want to do well. Is
Heck
there
yeah.
anything on the horizon regarding somebody in the team perhaps giving tutorials to encourage more guilds to come to you for, it's like, so a guild's not doing well in territory wars, it's not doing well in territory battles, and you can say, hey, look, send us your territory war, send us your territory war officer, send us your territory battle officer. We will take them through a tutorial. We'll show them how to use the utility so that they can make your guild better. And something like that could then encourage a guild to, then come to you guys and maybe subscribe.
I think absolutely there's a future with that type of system. In fact, I get people coming to me now saying, look, we'll even pay someone to come just spend an hour with us to explain how to do the territory battles better, explain how some guilds will do the sandbagging in zones so they can get further in the stars and things like that. But again, I've been just too busy personally, but I think that's definitely somewhere where we can start working better as a team. This is a new thing, having such a big kind of amazing team. So I'm hoping to definitely put it to better use.
I think Strange is doing some really interesting stuff with territory battles, because territory battles ends up being this sort of math problem, and maybe he can talk a little bit about how he can help solve that math problem for people.
Well, I was going to say just a quick plug in the Patreon section for the Escape podcast. We do have territory battle help. Just saying. Anyway, but the person I would actually recommend from this group would be Strange. So, Strange, you've been playing with these numbers, and I love that I could go into your section that you work on and see how much potential GP I still have left. And props from a TB officer to you for what you've done.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys find it useful. And yeah, we broke the tools down into two sections. The first section is called, I think it's called status section. And that is an area where we want to give a guild officer an idea of how far they are from hitting their goals, and what percentage of mission success they need from the missions they have left to hit those goals. Because when I watched my guild leader do it, he was constantly monitoring the mission completion to the point where he knew, okay, we've hit our goals, now we can start deploying. And that's what we tried to do there. What we allow the user to do is kind of click on which stars they want to get. So you can say, okay, I want 2 stars in the top and 2 stars in the bottom, and then 3 stars in the middle, right? So they'll just click the stars that they want, and then the system does some computations and kind of says, okay, this is how much deployment power you have remaining, and based on that deployment power you have remaining, this is the number of missions that you need to complete to meet that goal. And it updates as the TB goes on. So as your players are kind of completing missions, that percentage will go down or up based on the success that they're having. And one of the things I want to get in for the next TB is kind of like a chart there. Right now, it just gives you a percent. You need 50% of the mission points to hit your goals. I'd love to put that in a chart that kind of plots it over time, so you can kind of see, oh, I've gone above my projected line or below.
Okay, so you're doing the win probability table instead of a pie chart or a bar chart.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to get sometime during the next TB. Is some kind of chart that says, this is the line that you need to, achieve to hit your goals. And then it kind of plots how you're doing as you're completing missions. Because one of the things we saw from the last TB was, it just gives you a percent that you need to complete.
Now, quick follow up. Is this for all territory battles?
Yeah.
Is this for both Hoth and for Geo?
Yeah.
Actually,
as far as the calculations go, the most complicated part or instance that can happen is when you sandbag multiple zones in a phase, and that I think we've only seen users really do that in the light side geo.
We do that. We sandbag the first two zones,
Yeah.
and then we get 3 of 3 the next day. But the first day or first phase, because it's no longer days. First phase, we're going 0.999 and 0.999 with 3-starring ships.
Yeah.
And then we go 2 stars in the second day in ships and 3 stars on both sides on the second day. And then we get to cam, the third phase, and then 3-star the middle of the fourth day. So, but Neil, this Strange is also the person that you also like the most, if you will, because he's also in charge of the GAC compare feature.
I love me some GAC. I love GAC so much. I have 4 accounts, and I play all 4 accounts. Well, I mean, I do everything on all of them, but you know, my alts are primarily there just to enjoy and participate in GAC from the various different divisions, because I've got 1 account at Div 1, 1 at 2, 1 at 3, and 1 at 4. So I have literally one at each different level. So
you're a crazy man.
Yes, I'm a crazy person, but
not as crazy as the guy Hot Sauce was showing me today. There was some guy who had so many accounts that like it overflowed our list of like account choosing when you're logging into the site. So we had to like actually make it so that it will scroll, because he had like, I don't know, 8 accounts or something like that set up. I don't know. I don't understand. I can barely play 1 account. I don't know how you guys do it.
Go ahead, Hot Sauce.
He was a guild leader in 2 different guilds and had 8 alts.
Oh, jeez.
He is 2 different guilds. You know, he's not a guild leader. He is the guild.
See, the thing is, I've got it easy because all of my accounts are free to play. What amazes me is people that have their main accounts like above 7, like yourself, and then they have alts that are also whale accounts. That impresses me more than multiple free to play.
Talk to that guy. He set up when we were testing so one of the things we can also do is we can open bronziums for you, right? Instead of having to set up an auto clicker or things like that.
I use that
today. So I used up all my bronziums, and we wanted to test some new features. And Hot's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just connect one of my accounts to you." And I go and log in, and he's got like 3 million ally points, something like that. You know, he never opens his bronziums on it.
Yeah. The bronzy, that very first thing, it just endears me to the site. It's like I log in, and the first thing I see is you have 350,000 bronzium ally points. How many would you? And I'm like, how many? You're asking me how many, so I don't just have to do 1 at a time. It's like, how many ally points would you like to leave? And I'm like, just leave 100,000. Do 250. Click, and it just goes, and it's like, you have 758 character shards. And I'm like, oh. So I log in, I convert them, and it's like 10k, and I'm like, oh, it's like a kid in a candy store. I can instantly spend all of that on gear. So
that's what I did. Now I'm running low again. You got to be careful.
Yeah. You need to be. I've kept like 100k on each of them for those weekly shipments. Every time they throw something in there,
I never buy those aren't, especially now that you can buy like the bronzium packs. Like with this, like the only reason to buy those things from the shipments was if you're too lazy to open the bronzium packs. They're never really good deals, but you know.
No, they weren't. They weren't particularly. But every now and then it'd be like, you know what? I need an Omega. 25k for an Omega is a ripoff. It's an absolute ripoff. But
I mean, when they launched that weekly shipment, they started out hot. Like I remember the first.
Yeah, they were good. The first 3 of them were good.
And then first week was awesome.
Garbage or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it went garbage. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
they realized people were hoarding, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do that anymore."
I mean, the bronzium is an area where I think I was a little bit disappointed, and maybe Hot Sauce wants to talk about this a little bit. But you know, when we first launched it, it was very slow to open bronziums, and then we got a tip that the back end services they use actually can open multiple bronziums at once. So literally, if CG wanted people to be open 100 bronziums at a time, they would just need to add a little button to their UI. Everything supports it just fine. And that's one of the things that I find really depressing about it. I mean, they really just are, you know, not doing things for some unknown reason. Like, why don't they just give us a button to open 100 Bronziums at a time? They can do it.
Because they know people, they know groups of people such as yourself, are now here to. So it's like literally, it's like we don't have to do
look,
it.
If they want to give
Hot
Sauce a cut of their money, that's fine. But,
All right, I'm gonna put Hot Sauce in hot water here for a moment. We're gonna go around the horn here, starting with Zverv. Starting with Tips and then Zverv. If you could force Hot Sauce to add a feature to Hotbot, we're going to place a few lightning rounds here. If you could force him to put a feature into Hotbot, what would it be? Starting with you, Tips.
Well, I know that you guys just talked about this last week, but I get pings. I'm not even that active in the server, but they're like, hey, man, can you guys add a schedule for me to get my energy? So if I could give him do that to stop my pings, that would be helpful, I guess.
Zverv, what's your wish? Your really, really big wish list?
That's a hard question because I get what a lot of out of HotUtils. I'm pretty sure. Probably it would be the getting the events into the version 2 site. I'll probably force that into him.
All right, two-step. That was almost going to be my answer because that's what I'm trying to get him to do next anyway, but he already knows that. I mean, so like there's a bunch of things that people like regularly come to us with like, hey, will you make it so that it will buy mods when there are good mods on sale in the store? And we say no to things like that because we don't want CG to get mad at us and we don't want to actually be playing the game for people. So I don't know if we're allowed to break those rules, but it would be nice to have some of that stuff. I think I want to look at the mods, and I feel like I've been spending all my money upgrading mods anyway, so I don't really have any money to buy mods anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I think the event stuff would be really good. That's probably my main one.
All right, Shades, over to you.
Don't really probably auto sign up.
Oh,
for
God,
TWGAC?
To eliminate the
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Shades. I'm right there with you. An auto sign up because it's not just sometimes it's not just about forgetting to sign up. Sometimes it's signing up. You think you've signed up, but the join, sometimes clicking on the join doesn't necessarily mean that that data gets sent to the server, and then the next time you log in,
Correct.
it still says join. And I've been caught out on GAC on that on multiple occasions across every single one of my accounts, and it bugs the ever-loving crap out of me. So yeah, I would agree with you there.
And Strange.
Well, I'll give two. One that I was asked for the community quite a bit, and that was TB history, so that people could go back and kind of look at the how everyone has done. And being a programmer, it reminds me a lot of when I'm asked to automate something, and sometimes it's not going to have a good effect on someone, so that kind of feels weird, like, oh, I'll put a feature in there that'll get somebody booted from a guild because they're slacking off during the TB phases.
It would help me, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that was a big ask for one. I think another one that would be interesting to work on would be, I don't know if you guys have used Playground yet, but it kind of lets you create mod loadouts manually. And we had talked about possibly allowing people to do that for other people's accounts and then sending them the loadout. So, people who have those remodding services could kind of do it through HotUtils without having to give control of their account to someone else. Or we haven't worked out the exact details of that, but that's kind of a pet project. I don't know if there's as much of a need in the community, but I'd always like to see that happen.
All right. And how many people did we just get fired, Hot Sauce?
None. They're all good points. And then I think there's so much we could do, but today's day and age, it's an attention game. Like you guys probably watched, what it was at the whole social media show, and when everyone's competing attention. So CG in the game, it's competing for your attention. And my scare is always where we're doing great things for officers for territory wars or territory battles. We're helping people with their mods, which is the nightmare of the game right now. We're kind of hitting these. If we start to spread into the things that starts to take too much, or to introduce any sort of automation or take too much attention out of the game to our site, I think that is when CG starts to have a problem. And that's really a big driving factor with me. I don't want to cross lines. I think we can provide so much value, but I don't want to push my luck. And I hope at some point CG does reach out to me. I would love to have open conversations on things with them. I would love to know what they might think is okay or not okay. But until that happens, I just wouldn't want to put everything else at risk because of it, if that makes sense. So that's when we get those people saying, we wanted to buy our packs for us, or we wanted to auto join stuff for us. And you start to push towards, hey, they don't got to log into the game anymore. They just need to go to the HotUtils website and it's going to do that stuff for them. That's where we start to push the line, I think.
All right.
Yeah,
so
being purveyors of useful tools and information it's that happy medium. It's like, look, you can get this information from us, and then you can go straight to your account, log on, and use that information. Or here's a tool that we're providing for you. You can apply that tool to your account and then go log straight in and see exactly what it's done to your account. So if you're going with tools and information that's actually promoting people logging into their account more often, that's what's going to keep you in CG's good graces. Because if someone's like, oh, I can't be asked to do my mods, I'm not logging in, I'll leave it until the last minute. But if they can go to HotUtils, look at what they've got, do a little bit of tweaking here, it's like, oh, I've got to log in and make sure that that's happened and that that's been applied and that I've done that. And while they're logged in, the whales, the dolphins, the krakens, it's like, that mod needs this doing to it. I'll just pop into the store. I'll buy myself a chest. You want to be, as friendly natured towards CG as possible. And yeah, exactly. You want to stay on their right side.
And I think some of the things like what Stranger's talking about, letting people remod other people's rosters, it's a way of sort of making up for CG's bad decision making, right? So the challenge rancor is terrible. I think almost everyone who plays the game would agree with that statement.
In its current state, yes.
Currently, and maybe it will get better tomorrow. Who knows? But one of the things that can be frustrating is people who have good teams but are not able to post good scores. Well, maybe it's because they're not modded well, and so people who really want in pushing in the guild to oh, let's get this done. If they can just get a quick login from someone and hey, let me just go to Grand Ivory and I'll set up your mods for you and I'll make a loadout for you, and now you can just push one button and we can improve our scores. It's a sort of a way to make up for some of those bad game design decisions. I mean, it is really sad to me as a player of the game, not just as a hot sauce developer, but that CG isn't talking to hot sauce and to the community at large. Like, why can't they reach out and say, hey, we're okay with this Bronzium thing. We're not okay with you, claiming bonus energy or auto joining raids or whatever sort of stuff. Why, how much effort does that take them?
So what I'm thinking is if they start saying we're okay with this, we're not okay with this, that's gonna and they acknowledge the existence of Hotbot more than just saying, oh, we're aware of it. It would then be in a way a sponsorship of it, which EA would be pissed about because of the whole perceived TOS thing, of course.
Well, I mean that's something. I must admit that's something that actually does confuse me just a little bit, because there has been a CG acknowledgement of swgoh.gg. Now, swgoh.gg may not provide tools like you provide tools, but they do provide data based on the game.
They're a data parser instead.
Yeah, exactly. They're a data parser. And I mean, maybe not so much now, but of
So
year old.
they absolutely still are. I mean, the way they update your arena ranks and stuff like that is they literally have the same technology that Hot Sauce has with accounts that log into the game and ask for, hey, for this ally code, what is their arena rank? They get get the thing when you click on a person in your arena shard or whatever, and you click on them and you see their arena rank and their fleet rank and what characters they have. They're pulling that same information. They're doing the same stuff that Hot Sauce is doing. It's them and SWGOH events and a whole bunch of other people are doing this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not some sort of totally secret thing that's going on. CG knows it's happening. They just haven't, and I understand that they don't want to, officially endorse Hot Sauce and say it gets the CG thumbs up of approval. Everyone can go sign up for it. Give someone else money instead of giving us money. But they could still. One thing I'd love for them to do is say, hey, what sort of features are people requesting? What features in the HotUtils website do people like? Because maybe we should add those to the game. I mean, Hot Sauce has said this in the past, like it would sort of suck for us, but it would be nice if CG could put us out of business by putting all this stuff directly into the game. Like, I'd love to have mod filters in the game that I can share with my guild mates and all that sort of stuff. Like, who wouldn't want that stuff,
All right, let's strip away really quick, because I've been dying to ask this. Let's strip away Hot Sauce's ownership, and let's take away all of his, all of his worries, and put him in his own seat, and say, if you could add anything to Hotbot, knowing not having a care in the world, what would it be, Hot Sauce?
That's tough. I mean, a lot of the things that we're building right now or that are coming in the future are kind of what I'm looking forward to. Again, I come from that. I always want to be careful. I come from that top echelon of guilds right now where it's the high end stuff that we need. So I see the unbelievable amount of time the MA officers still put into things and how I could help them. So it's those tools, yet those tools don't apply to a majority of the player base by any means. So it's kind of that balance. I want to see some of the higher end stuff, but I want to keep producing stuff that's going to help other people. And just, I think I have to comment a bit on the discussion. What I am doing is same technology as .gg, but again, .gg isn't using account authentication, and it's the account authentication of HotUtils that allows you to move your mods in game and stuff. That does kind of take another step, and I don't blame CG in any way. I wish I could still have some background talks with them like I used to. It doesn't have to be in public, but they can't endorse me because they don't want every developer out there trying to figure out how to do what I do. I think I've got enough of a history now. I hope that's why they're kind of have left me alone and leave me alone. I've proved I'm a good guy. My stuff's stable. I'm not causing any problems for them. But at the same time, if I was to ever produce something that was a real problem, they don't want to have said, yes, everything you're doing is okay, Hot Sauce, because then it would be harder for them to shut me down. If I crossed the line, they could come to me now and say, no, none of this is good. We want you to turn it all off. And I'd be in the spot where I really would have to, right? So it comes back to that balance. And I think who had mentioned EA being involved, I'm sure that they have terms with EA about third-party tools and things themselves. Yeah. And it's all muddy water, right? And that's where I'm happy to help people with what we got now, and I don't want to push our luck too much.
So you said that you briefly mentioned there that looking to the future, you've got things on the production line. Is this things on the production line that are going to be in addition to version 2, or is it further on the horizon? You're looking for you've got some whiteboard or a chalkboard somewhere with what you want to do with version 3, like, I don't know, Android app or something like that, because I know for a fact having something like, people have got their tablet propped up on there, they've got a laptop or a PC with one monitor. They're not like you and I sat with multiple monitors. They can have the game on one monitor, and they can have HotUtils on another monitor, and they can have Discord on another monitor, a one-stop shop where, they can just... Not the App Store, I'm not suggesting the Google Store, but there are independent app stores available on Android where you could develop and produce an app that runs HotUtils at a later version, where people could just log on, have it on their tablet next to them, or have it on their Android phone, and log in that way and do all of their changes while they've got their anything in the line, anything future down the line like that.
Again, a little bit. So the goal of HotUtils and kind of my whole approach to it will be to help people with the medial tasks that they're doing as officers or as planners or as whatnot. The hours and hours and hours they're spending outside of the game that become tedious, that needs to be the goal of HotUtils, to try and help them. And that's twofold. One is it's not going to cross lines with CG. The other is it's going to keep those important players engaged in the game and our community without burnout. So that's really the approach. So dealing with mods was one, because that burns everybody out. Dealing with territory battles, the territory battle officers spend so much time in spreadsheets and this and that. So continued tools to improve that, and they're being able to record and report on things. Territory wars, again, another huge time sink, being able to, take that further. So I don't want to, it probably doesn't sound that splashy, but I think those are still the three main areas. Well, besides guild events, being able to Discord notify people who haven't done their special mission yet automatically, or haven't done got their guild tickets in yet, or haven't joined raids. All those types of events going on as well, again, helps benefit guilds overall. So those kind of four areas, I guess, will be kind of the continued path of the tools.
Keep the whales and the krakens happy, because I'm free to play, and they're the ones that the whales and the krakens are the one that pay the bills in the game.
It's not even the whales and krakens; the managers of whales and krakens.
Yes,
right?
and keep the whales, the krakens,
we're also whales and krakens
and
themselves,
the managers of the whales and the krakens happy. Yes, exactly.
Because let's say
who does the TW stuff again?
it's
me now. I mean, I'm working on it, but hot sauce also.
So two-step, just a quick question. And maybe I've overlooked this ability. Can I see who left some damn turn meter on Kylo?
So unfortunately you can't, although there's some weird thing someone showed recently on the website. Apparently if you run in German, it actually shows you when people attack in like the little log where it says, you got X banners for defeating a team. So I guess, everyone should switch their language on their phone to German or something, and then you can find out.
That's not technically true.
It's not?
The German thing could be true, but again, if your guild is hardcore TW and fully engages with Hotbot, you are reporting your wins and losses. So how guilds set it up is every action is doing a rogue action, and then you're always reporting it with a bot, your wins and losses. So you can always reconcile your rogue actions in game with the actions with the bot to know who's preloading and all that thing, as well as you can tell, hey, we need a DR to kill this team. It can tell you who has DR left, who didn't place DR on defense and hasn't used it on offense yet, those kind of things. So once you're engaged in the full TW system, guilds do get some of that. But two steps, right? The game data doesn't exist to support that. So you have to be engaged with the full system for that.
I mean, not every guild is going to want to go through that. I mean, that level of stuff is like, you can't just drop into the game and say, oh, I'm going to attack this team here. You have to go and, request things. And right now it's using the Discord bot. You have to list all the teams in the zone and say, oh, I want to attack team number 47. And then some officer has to say, okay, you're cleared to attack team number 47, and then et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't think everyone is going to be using those features, no matter how easy we make them.
No, for sure. So again, it depends on the type of guild. And I would say there's probably in the range of 300 guilds now using the TW system, though. So it's pretty significant. And I would say out of those, probably 270 of them are report only, meaning all their members are doing is reporting their attacks after they're done. They're not having to request against teams or nothing. And then there's about 30 of the higher end guilds that request every attack before. And then some of those even have the final mode on where officers have to approve the attack before they can go in and game and do it. So there's kind of all the different levels of it.
So crazy. Tipster, you looked like you wanted to say something there for a second.
I did. I was going to ask. I know a lot of people in the game or in Reddit actually will comment and say that they wish they had a feature that could pull a person out of a zone if they put the wrong team, or if you get a troll.
Yes.
That I just like that would be a good one to add. I don't know if we have that in the future thing. Nope.
No, unless it's actually a game, unless it's actually a feature in the game, I don't think Hot Sauce could do that at all.
No, that's a quality of life thing that we've been asking CG for like forever.
For a long time,
can
yeah.
you please allow us to remove teams that we've accidentally put down? Just give us a half a dozen. It doesn't have to be infinite. Just give us a half a dozen.
It can be infinite.
Damn,
I
I
mean,
didn't mean to put that team.
That's the thing. It's really stupid. Like I don't. This is where I really don't understand CG, and part of this is coming from other games. Like I was really involved in EVE Online in the past and stuff like that, and I've experienced companies that listen to their players, and it's fascinating to me. I feel like there's some sort of weird psychological experiment going on with CG where they're like, how much can we neglect our player base and still get them to pay us lots of money? And if we neglect them more, do they pay us more or something like that? Is it? It has to be at this point, because like from a technical level, like I'm a developer. I've actually worked in the game industry years and years ago, but I know how this stuff works. It's not hard for them to have a pull back a team, even an officer could pull back any team, or even just the player can pull back their own teams. Technically, that's not a difficult thing. It's not like there's a whole bunch of UI that needs to go around it. Maybe a confirmation dialog box. Are you sure you want to remove this team? Like, it literally, you're talking about a day's work for someone. And the fact that they're not willing to do that, there has to be some sort of ulterior motive at some point. You get into this crazy world where like either that or they've only got one dude working on this game at this point. I mean,
well, they have said
Casey
that they've
with his
only got one
laptop.
laptop, haven't they? They have said that before.
Casey's got the laptop again.
We could get you and I two-step need to have I could give you some of the reasons behind why I think there's struggles just from an architecture perspective. We'd have to get into a real tough technical talk here, and I don't think we want to do that. But I think it is bigger. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's to the point where when someone locks in, that's a document sitting on their computer that has, the instructions of what they did. It's not being shared amongst the other guild documents yet and things like that. So I think if someone was to pull a team out, I think it's much more technical than we realize for them to accomplish that, or they would have done that by now. And it's probably, I got made fun of when I said there's a lot of technical debt this game's built on a previous game and things like that. I think they're kind of handcuffs in ways, and they've been working on that. The whole being able to rapidly release, these different versions of galactic challenges. That's a bright light in all this. They're making, new skills and abilities and stuff way faster than they ever used to be able to do. But at the same time, I think they still are built on that same infrastructure that ties their hands in ways that we're not aware of, if that makes sense. And I don't want to be the CG apologist in all this. And I know there's going to be the comments going there. But
fine, that stops an officer from pulling someone else's team. But certainly a person could pull their own team then. But anyway.
Yeah, I know.
No, there have been plenty of hate comments towards me for being always the positive guy, So I send them to me, guys. Don't go hating on Hot Sauce.
Their motive will and always will be they're making money, though, right? They're answering to their shareholders. For them to sit back and spend 6 months straight on quality of life stuff doesn't get them anything. It's never going to happen. All we can do is hope that they do a bit of bit more balancing and bring some of the really needed stuff along for sure.
Yeah, quality of life is quality of life. I think it's more about retention as opposed to we'll do all of this and it's going to bring in X amount of hundreds of thousands. It's not. Quality of life is never going to bring in new players because new players don't know what the quality of life was before they updated things. That were annoying to the player base and that they wanted, like moving bronziums. from the bottom all the way at the front. I mean, I remember when they first did that, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is like the best quality of life thing they've ever done. And all they did was move something from one end of the menu, the front of the menu, so I didn't have to scroll all the way along just to get to the, so
but that probably cost them some money, I mean.
Well,
yeah.
The thing is, this was right before they started releasing all these packs. So
yes, the pack.
They had motive.
The Bronzium thing, for example, too, again, their API can support opening 100 or 1,000 Bronzium at a time. It's got to be a technical limitation. It has to be that when to render all those rewards in the client, they struggle with memory. We all get lockups on BlueStacks or this or that. My guess is they just simply don't have a way to display bulk rewards, and then they're handcuffed to opening one at a time. But I absolutely wish they'd spend a bit of time and fix that. My personal wish to CG would be take any ideas you can from our mod management, take any ideas from the community, do mods better in game, because I don't care if you take the use of HotUtils away for mods in that way. It will engage players in the game more. We'll get more players into the game. We have literally people quitting the game because of mods, and that's a sad kind of state. I go try and play some of these other mobile games, and I think mods are an amazing thing in SWGOH. I think they add complexity and variety and all these different things, but it's just so painful to upgrade them to, move them around to things like that. I wish if I had one beg to CG on quality of life, it would be definitely related to mods.
All right. Well, go ahead, Strange. Sorry.
Yeah, I will say doing the web development for the V2 website does give you some appreciation on how difficult it is to design a user interface that works on a phone. Because I know some of the components that I've made, I'll do it on my desktop, I'll do the development, and then it's like, okay, now time to see how this looks on the phone. And you're like, that doesn't work. And you really got to totally redesign the layout to work on the phone. And one of the things about our users, the HotUtils users, are most of them are going to use it on maybe a tablet or a website on their PC. And being able to design an interface with that much more space opens up a lot more possibilities for making quality of life updates that they just don't have, because they're limited to, I don't know, 1200 by 800 pixels.
Yeah. I had to fill out a form at the dentist today on my mobile phone, and it was not fun. I totally understand that. So, Neil, we're gonna need to wrap up here because we've kept them for over an hour here so far. Any final questions for them before I give them the last lightning round question?
Yeah, I was about to say I want to ask a fun question. I want to know what everybody's GP is and what their favorite area of the game is.
Okay, so we'll go round robin here and have you guys answer 3 questions, and then we'll wrap it up here. Hot Sauce, we're gonna start with you. What is your GP and the alt GP? That's a specific
and all is alt GPs. Come on now.
Yep.
And who plays your accounts on a day-to-day basis? That's the question you need to ask him.
Your favorite feature of version 2, and then finally, who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Okay, about I think I'm pushing 8.3 on one and 8.2 on the other. I don't quote me on that exactly, but my 2 accounts are over the 8 mil GP range. Favorite features still gotta be. I just had to use it again today for this crazy Mandalore Galactic Challenge feat where I had to go remod my. So it's jumping on Grand Ivory, dropping the team in, Max just quickly, doing an optimize on mods, sending that loadout over and equipping it, and then being able to revert back to my previous mods and not have to worry about tracking anything. That alone, I wouldn't even be able to play the 2 accounts with the amount of, mod remodding that would have to happen all the time without those tools, being able to swap the mods around. So that has to still be my favorite. Favorite Star Wars character. Oh, Darth Vader. It has to be.
All right.
Not my favorite in game, but still my favorite.
Who's your favorite game? Favorite kit?
Tipster, over to you.
Oh, he didn't let me answer it. Okay. All right. So my GP, I'm kind of a scrawny guy now. I've kind of stopped. Like I said, I stopped playing for a little bit. So my GP is right at 7 million now.
Still, I'm a 6.5, about to hit 6.6 once I unlock Luke.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. I missed 2 GLs. I would have been on top of that. I would have been good. And then favorite feature inside of, well, right now I'm starting to really like the templating just because I played with it a lot more. But just old school, I'm a big fan of the mod management stuff, mostly loadouts. That's kind of what I kind of went on the validation testing with other users. Favorite character in Star Wars, I would be remiss if I did not say it was Finn. But my favorite character before the new stuff came out was probably Greedo. As a kid, I just loved the green alien dude, and so that's kind of where I'm at. And I like his kit in the game too. So,
all right, Zverv.
I have my main account at about 6.5 million GP, and then an alt account nearly at 6. And my favorite part about the V2 side has to be a trifecta with the playground, the mod management, and the loadouts. Running a mod service, the mod management is really, really good for me. I can help a lot of people out with that. And my favorite character, I think, has to be Jedi Knight Luke, just much because of the 4-year hype that built up to that character, and seeing the community thinking that the game was going to end when he was released this summer. That was amazing to see.
From when we interviewed Carrie, we said, "Is Luke going to be the final character in the game before it ends?" She alluded to it, so that's our fault. Sorry.
Yeah, I loved it. It was really, really great to see the community go into like a panic and seeing all this Wago videos like, oh, the game's going to end. But also his kit in game is just amazing. So that's it for me.
All right. Going over to Two-Step.
So 7.7 million, just about. A little short of it. I might, upgrade some guys so I can get all 7s or something cool like that soon.
I'm going to be trying for 6s.
Yeah, it was a pain. For 6s, I did it, but it was a pain in the ass. You had to farm up some 3-dot mods and level them to level 4 and all this sort of stuff to get the numbers to work exactly. So good luck with that. So I think the favorite part of the site, I just did what HotUtils or Hot Sauce said he did earlier today with the stupid GAC and the Mandalorian guys and remodding them. So that comes in there. I think I've got to plug, sadly, even though it's one of my own features, the public filter stuff, just because I'm never going to put in the amount of effort that some of the people are going to put into that, and that saves me so much time and effort and stuff like that. And for favorite character, I've got to go. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter named Elin, and her favorite character is Chewbacca, and she just loves Chewie. She has about 6 or 7 different stuffed Chewies and little Chewie minifigures, Lego minifigures, and all sorts of Chewies. So it's got to go Chewie.
All right, over to Shades.
2 accounts, 7.3, 6.2. Favorite feature is mods by a mile. The amount of time it saves, the ease of use, the ability to look at things you wouldn't even have the time to look for. The doubles, the speed. Such a fantastic enhancement. Favorite game part is TB, but certainly not the battles, the planning. What stars can we get? What's achievable by our guild? Favorite Star Wars character, twofold. From the movies, Darth Vader by a mile, and I'm in love with the new Ahsoka.
In love with the new Ahsoka. All right, you broke up there right at the end. Just wanted to make sure that we got your answer there. And finally, if your favorite character is not Lobot Strange, we're going to be pissed.
My account is about 5 million GP. I've only been playing the game for.
That's what mine is. That's what mine is.
Well, maybe we'll get matched up then. I've only been playing for about 2 years. Let me see. What are my favorite features? The mod management, I use every day, and that's great. And loadouts are good too. But one of the ones I obsessively use is the Swuggo, the integration that HotUtils has with the Swuggo events gear tracker. To for me to say, okay, this is the character that I'm aiming for. How many crystals do I need? And the fact that HotUtils tells Swuggo events gears how much I have in my inventory and how much I need left. That's one of my favorite. My favorite character in game is probably Watt. I just think he's so incredibly versatile. Whereas some of the GLs, they're powerful, but they can't be used all over the place like he can. From the universe, probably Hondo.
There we go. I need Hondo in this game. Neil, why don't you answer our questions? Let's have some fun. Let's answer our own question here.
Well, yeah, I'm 5. I'm literally just over 5 mil GP. My my new favorite function of because yes, without a doubt, obviously, the mod management is exquisite. I need it for my GACs. I'm doing a complete test on one of my alt accounts. I'm just taking the raw changes for my entire roster on Grand Ivory, and I'm going to see how effective that is for 5v5 on one of my alt accounts. So I want to see just how good it is. So I'm doing that. But the Bronzium thing. It's that's my favorite thing at the moment because it's saving me from getting some RSI. So just having to tap on that. I don't like that. And obviously my favorite character is Luke Skywalker.
All right, and for me, 6.5, about to hit 6.6. My favorite is the actually ability to level up the mods like that. That is actually my very, very favorite thing. I don't care about moving them. The fact that I don't have to sit there and search out and then go back and then search out and then go back. That is my favorite. I can deal with, using Grand Ivory and moving it myself, but I do love the fact that they'll do it for me. And then my favorite character in universe, obviously Hondo Onaka. Favorite character in the game, Wat Tambor. I'm with you, Strange. All right. And one last question for Hot Sauce. How many of these guys have access to the back end, Hot Sauce? I know we covered this before, but I just want to make sure that this gets out there in this one as well.
None. It's tough for me because I could sure use some help. I know some of them would love to help because they see, lots of times I'm the problem in this whole spinning wheel, right? I'm too busy helping with people with signups where I should be doing some API work to get the front end guys going in there. Like, we'd love to help, but I think it does add a huge, again, it comes to a threat against everything we're doing. If anything ever got out or anything ever happened bad to someone's account or something because of the system, it would threaten the entire thing that is being built on. So I've just kept very tight control over the back end. So nobody except myself has access to it, and nobody but myself signs people up because we know that's a painful process. And some of the options there, again, it needs to be very restricted to who can do it.
All right. Any last questions, Neil?
No, I'm good. Thanks, mate.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this TEPc Spotlight. We hope this gave you a peek into the great people that are working on this tool that we highly recommend. It's a wonderful, wonderful asset to our community. Thank you, Hot Sauce, for birthing it. Zverv, Tipster, Shades, Two Step, Strange, thank you to you guys for supporting the community in the way that you do and spending some time. Who are we missing again, Hot Sauce, that we also need to thank?
Prim, he's a workhorse for support, especially during the night, and I hate that he wasn't here to join in on this.
All right. And yes, definitely to you as well. Go check out their site, HotUtils.com, HotUtils.com. And if you guys are watching, I don't even think that, there's just so much information in this. I don't even know if I could pare it down for the show, Neil. Maybe we'll just get the last little part and have fun with that. But if you guys are seeing this on the actual show, come check out the full interview with them on our YouTube channel. Just search for the Escape Pod Space Cast, and you'll find us on YouTube and check out the full interview. You guys have yourselves a wonderful night. Be nice to each other, damn it. And Neil,
Yes, mate.
push the button.
You got it. Ta-ta for now, folks.